So have you ever wondered? I'm sure both of you. Oh, I don't know if both of you guys have tried it, but Rocky, I know you have for sure. Have you ever been curious why when you put butter in your coffee, it does not mix, but heavy cream obviously mixes perfectly?
I've never really
Yeah,
thought about it that way, but I guess now that you bring it up,
well, yeah, I've always been curious because
yeah,
butter comes from heavy cream, so I'm like, well, why can't you ever get butter to just mix? And it always kind of, the couple times I've tried it because I didn't have heavy cream, it just pisses me off that I can't get that stuff to mix
And
up.
this is coming down to the bilayer, correct?
Yes.
yeah. I was just going to say the protein content
Right.
of the cream versus the protein versus of the butter.
Yeah, glycolipids and phospholipids that are
Right.
in the cream. And it turns out that in heavy cream, the fat is trapped within these little globules. So you can think about it instead of imagining a solid mass of fat, what you have is fat that would look like like a big fish tank filled with ping pong balls. It's not one continuous mass of fat. All the fat is trapped within these little balls. And the surface of these balls are what they call the milk fat globule membrane. And they're made up of various components. One of the highest components is phosphatidylcholine, which is actually really important because it's a precursor to acetylcholine. The body will turn it into acetylcholine, which the brain then needs to fuel itself. So we have a very beneficial component there. But what makes these disperse in liquid is one end will attach to water molecules through hydrogen bonding, and the other end will attach to fat molecules. So it allows these globules to pretty much dissolve in anything, fat or water. That's why cream mixes up better. From a health perspective, they actually have done quite a bit of research on these membranes and the potential health effects if you are ingesting dairy products that still have these membranes intact versus dairy products that do not. And we'll get into which one of those are, but heavy cream, they're all intact. They do have casein bound to them, but for every, let's say you have 3 tablespoons of heavy cream in your coffee in the morning, which I do with decaf or regular coffee, you're getting less than 2 grams of casein total. And it's bound in these globules, which means it's going to be slowly released as you digest it. I would be very interested to see the histamine reaction to this, if there's any at all. And if you're worried about it, then get your heavy cream from Europe. But you get a lot of benefits because these fats are trapped in these membranes. These membranes are very important. They can be used, using cream like this can be used for digestive problems, can be used for diarrhea. I mean, all kinds of different things. They've actually got a lot of studies in humans where they've used these to treat different things. So milk cream is actually, it's the cream that rises to the top. It is one of the best components, the fat components. It is the best fat component of milk is cream. Now, what happens when we make butter is the churning process basically destroys all these membranes. So these membranes are wiped out, they've been destroyed, and really all you have is just solid milk fat. So butter, it turns out, is the only dairy product that does not have these known to be beneficial milk fat globule membranes. So of all your choices of what you should put in your coffee in the morning, butter should be at the bottom of your list if you're on a ketogenic diet looking for the most health benefits of what you're adding to your coffee.
For us, from a taste perspective, I would say it rates fairly low as well.
What, butter?
Butter, yeah.
I mean, heavy cream is so much better in coffee. And this is what I'm talking about from, I talked about earlier in the show, is a physiological perspective versus scientific. You can pull some science papers that say butyric acid's healthy for you, it does all these great things in the liver, blah, blah, blah. But how does that relate to the coffee in the morning? One of the real magics, and so it sounds scientific, but it's not. The real magic of short chain fatty acids is when they're produced in your intestinal tract by your gut flora. Well, you just circumvented that if you took a lot of butyric acid in the butter. You don't get any of those really what I would consider the most important benefits of those short chain fatty acids, and that's having your gut bacteria produce them themselves. You short circuited that. With the heavy cream, you still get a fat load. That's fine. There's nothing exciting about it. At least with the heavy cream, there are extra nutraceuticals in there that are going to help increase brain function. They're going to help stabilize your digestion. There's, I would say, a low probability. I was digging into the chemistry of these surfaces, and the casein that is present is bound pretty tightly in these membranes. So its ability to neutralize catechins is questionable. I would have to actually see them add cream to coffee and then analyze the catechin content afterwards, which I did not find. And it mixes with your coffee well. Now, the one thing we would have, let's say you're paleo or you do have an allergy to casein, it turns out that the homogenization process will increase the casein content of those membranes. So ideally, what we really want to find is raw cream, which in California, that was easy. I mean, I could go into most grocery stores and grab it. Here in Arizona or Phoenix, I haven't really gone to check that out. Maybe the farmer's market might have that. But what you really want to add to your coffee, you want maximum health benefits, the lowest potential of any kind of allergic reaction would be raw cream.
Or like you said, European cream.
Yeah, or European cream. Now, keep in mind, these membranes are very, very stable. They survive pasteurization, which means even regular milk has these membranes in it. And they did another correlative study of health of individuals based on the content of these membrane content of the dairy. And they found the strongest correlation when the membranes were intact. So again, butter, from just a pure nutraceutical perspective, butter had the least health benefits. Now, everybody knows I'm a fan of butter. When I was a little kid, I used to eat sticks of butter, literally. My mom would open the fridge and find teeth marks in the butter. So butter is an excellent and healthy source of fat. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, in your coffee, if you're going for maximum health benefits, any health benefits at all, you should be using heavy cream and preferably raw cream. I mean, this whole butter thing is, again, a canard. Research wasn't backed up. There were just some assumptions made on a couple probably random papers, and that was the end of it. And I think that was a big disservice because I know a lot of people do their bulletproof coffee, but there is definitely nothing magical there. Now, the one thing he did do after a podcast with me where I said MCT oils were so important, about a month later, he started recommending putting coconut oil in your coffee as well. Unfortunately, he didn't give me any credit for that, but that is something you could also add that would be beneficial. But every morning, all I do, heavy cream in my coffee, whether it's decaf because I don't want a lot of caffeine or caffeinated because I want to pick me up. I'm always using cream. And now I understand the science of, why that recommendation does make more sense than butter.
To play, as I like to play devil's advocate often, I will say, though, when we look at using antioxidants versus polyphenols, because, catechin is a polyphenol, so they act as an antioxidant. Yeah. So, we know that most studies that use antioxidants show no benefit, and in some studies they show harm. So if you're using things like megadoses of vitamin C and vitamin E and these purported antioxidants, the data doesn't really support the use of those as an antioxidant. I just sent you guys a paper on high concentrations of urinary biomarker polyphenol intake and decreased mortality in older adults. This is an epidemiological study, but I still think that, if you're looking at polyphenols, you certainly want to get it from your natural sources. So vegetables for sure. If you're on carb-nite or carb backloading, you can certainly use low glycemic fruits like berries. Those skins of blueberries tend to have high contents, or you can certainly supplement. But there is a little bit of evidence showing that, if you can increase your polyphenol intake, and that's where that recommendation for drinking wine every day for cardiovascular disease is good for you. Unfortunately, that resveratrol that's in your wine also is accompanied with alcohol. So as I tell patients quite often. But I think that what's interesting about this issue, the casein and the fat globule membrane is really intriguing. And so I look forward to reading those other 10 papers you sent me.
Well, those just really pinned down some of the surface structural components of those milk fat globule membranes, different content of different components in them, how you get different casein levels, what dairy products have them in abundance and what don't have them. So, all those papers were just kind of helping to go down the rabbit hole of, can we answer this question? What's better, milk, cream, or coffee? And, we can definitely answer the question. Raw heavy cream is the best option of the three. Again, the question is, does it neutralize the catechins? And I don't know.
Well, I think also not to get caught up in the minutia as well, correct? I mean, if you like butter in your coffee and it tastes better to you, then albeit go for it. But
if you like butter, that's fine. It's just, my always thing obviously is, you really, if you're going to be so adamant about certain recommendations and that, that's the only way to go, you need to have some sort of backing for it.
Yeah.
Is all I'm really trying to say. Instead of using non-correlative research whatsoever to then, say, oh, well, this obviously is going to speed up your metabolism and do this. And, we don't know that it's going to do any of that. And I'm not going to claim that putting heavy cream in your coffee is going to speed up your metabolism or make you thinner faster. It's good. It's a good way to get extra fat in the diet, which you need for nutritional ketosis. And, well, it's highly palatable. I love drinking that stuff. That might be a little dangerous. But it also gives you, if you do that first thing in the morning, it gives you a nutrient load to break the metabolic fast that you've gone through in the night. And it might take a few hours for those fatty acids to get into your system. But, if you had 8 hours of sleep, you had your coffee with cream first thing in the morning, you're going to have a nutrient load way before that 12-hour mark that could start to not be so beneficial.
Well, all I can say is before I had the podcast, I had a cup of coffee with 3 tablespoons of heavy cream in it. So how about that?
There you go. Heavy cream and the coconut oil is fine. If it's around, I'll throw it